Here's the deal. It's draft season, and we have the NBA draft coming up in less than a month. And it is time to start talking about who the Detroit Pistons could draft. And the more and more I listen and the more and more I hear, there's a guy that originally was not thought to be even a belief at pick number 5. And I'm going to give an argument today why the Detroit Pistons should consider him. And we are going to do more of these videos. We are going to be talking about different players, why the Pistons could look at them at 5, maybe why you could trade back and get one of them, or maybe why you try to need to move back into the first round to get them as well. And there are, by my estimation, when you get the 5th pick, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe. I'm going to go with 8, but maybe 9 players that would be in consideration at this position. And there are good players to be had. So without further ado, let's go ahead and look at who these players could be. And you'll be getting videos on all of them. I think Victor and Scoot are a lock to go before 5. Nobody else is a lock. Some people would say Brandon Miller is. That's okay. You can fully put him there if you want. We will talk about him at a later time. But then you have this group from 4, honestly, all the way till 10 or 11. I would even go 11 that you could make an argument for with the 5th pick. And in this one, we're going to go with an elite upside, not elite upside, an elite proven 2 talents that are huge in the game of basketball and in the NBA, something that translates from college to the NBA, and that is 3-point shooting and blocks, rim protection more specifically. And we are going to be looking at the power forward from UCF, Taylor Hendricks. Now, here's what we need to look at with this guy. He is 19 years old, 19 and a half to be exact. So he's still young, but not overly young. He is a power forward. He's 6'9", but he has a wingspan over 7 feet. He's long and he can shoot. So let's get into the stuff a little bit more. He played 37 minutes per game. All right. He averaged 15.1 points. Not bad, not great at UCF, because at this point, he's not going to be a player who creates the shot for himself. He's going to rely on others. But there are a couple of elite statistics in there that I think we need to take a look at. Number 1 is his 3-point shooting percentage. For a guy that is 6'9", with an over 7-foot wingspan, to be shooting at a 40% clip, 39.4 to be exact, is phenomenal. 78% from the line at 19 years old tells you that's probably only going to go up a little bit, but it's good enough where you believe that 3-point percentage might not be that far out. It might not be that far out. So those are, that is an elite characteristic, that 3-point shooting. There's another one. Blocks. Blocks, blocks, blocks. I don't know why this isn't over here as a stat strength. Doesn't make sense to me. All right. If we go back and we look at this per 36 minutes, if we look at the blocks, there is one player who averaged more blocks than Hendricks that is projected to go in the lottery. All right. Lively for Duke had insane numbers for blocks. Okay. But his offensive game is so far behind. It's absolutely ridiculous. No one averaged more blocks than Hendricks outside of Victor Wembanyama. Now, sure, Wemby had over double the amount of blocks that Hendricks had, but this is an area when you have Duren. But Stewart, not great at this. Bagley, not great at this. This would be a really good player to put next to Jalen Duren for the Pistons lineup. Now we're going to start talking fit. Even before we start talking fit, let's just go back to the stats and recognize, okay? 1.4 assists. He's good enough. He has a 1-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, exactly even, right? Doesn't foul a lot, only averages 2 personal fouls per game. He is a solid player. He will come in and he will do his job right away. The comparisons that I saw with him and what I believe it's on NBADraftRoom.com, the 2 comps that they gave this guy were Jeremy Grant, which is interesting. It's Jeremy Grant now, not Jeremy Grant coming out of college, because Jeremy Grant coming out of college was not a shooter. But it's Jeremy Grant and it's Antoine Jamison. I will absolutely take those comparisons. I love it. So now let's talk about fit. Let's talk about what the fit is with the Detroit Pistons, because you have a lot of wonderings because there's so many big guys on this team. Like, there's so many big guys on this team that you have to start wondering to yourself, like, what are we doing? Like, where are we at with this? And I'll present the depth chart to you guys just because I don't want to assume that you guys are all like, oh, yeah, I know every little player on the Pistons. Okay. So here's what we have on our bigs. It says the starters are Bags and Wiseman with Duran. They don't have Stewart in here because he was hurt at the end of the year. So we have Stewart too. So you're probably saying to yourself, Craig, what are you talking about, man? How are we going to put this guy in at the 4? He is a 4, but he can absolutely play the 3. He can guard positions 3 through 5. If you have a front court lineup of him along with, I mean, if you have Hendricks, you have Duran, and you have Stewart, you are so switchable from 3 through 5. It's phenomenal. You have these guys that you can fit in like crazy. But here's the thing. Let's talk about strengths and how they compare and how they mesh. You have a strength set up with Hendricks of three-point shooting, with the weakness of three-point shooting with Duran, with the weakness of three-point shooting with Wiseman, or even Bagley. You have a strength of shot blocks with a weakness of shot blocks with Bagley and Stewart. This is a guy that absolutely can line up next to the people we have now. You can put him at the 3 if you want to get more defensive oriented, but you're not losing a ton of shooting. You can put him at the 4 if you want to get more defensive oriented on the interior. Like, the guy can fit in this roster. He fits. And I'm just going to keep it simple like that and say he fits. So I'm excited to see what the potential is here. I'm excited to see how he is going to do if we end up drafting him. And I'm going to make my case for him. Now, he's not the only guy I'm going to make a case for. I just want to be clear on that. And I want all of you to hear me when I say he is not the only guy that I'm going to make a case for. I am absolutely going to make a case for other players. But Taylor Hendricks is this very unique player that I think has a floor that's playable from day one. It's a floor that's playable from day one, but he also has a ceiling. So I've only talked good. What are a couple of the bad things? We'll end the video right here on saying a couple of the things that I would worry about with him. The things that I would worry about with Taylor Hendricks is, will he ever be able to create off the dribble? Will he ever be able to create his own shot, kind of turning into that Paul George type or something like that? I don't know if it's there. I don't know if you need it to be there. That is the one area where I'm just like, I don't know if he has any. The playmaking is a struggle. But again, we have Cade, we have Ivy, we have playmakers. So right now, what we need to surround them with is shooters and solid defenders. All right, let me know what you think about Taylor Hendricks. Leave a comment, and hit that subscribe button. Why not? All right, see you on the next one.